Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 300. 300 today, my friends. It's kind of fun and also kind of normal. I was sitting here for a few extra minutes going, what am I going to say for episode 300? And all I could hear in my head was just start, because once you start talking, it always flows. And this episode is going to be just as beautiful as tomorrow's episode, as episode 400, as episode 691. They're all going to be amazing vibrations of love that are flowing through. And so don't be attached to the numbers. That's the biggest message I feel for today. So we'll play as we always do and see what beautiful wisdom is ready to flow through me from my higher self, from consciousness, from Source, from the universe. So we'll start with the weather, because that is always a great place to start. It is beautiful here in Cincinnati. It is literally just such a pretty day. I went for my run this morning. It was 32 degrees out, and I had tried to tell myself I wasn't going to run if it was under the freezing mark. But I needed to move and run and stretch, and I wanted to be outside. So I layered up, and then as I was running, there was just frost everywhere. It was so beautiful, and just this gorgeous sky, and it's just so pretty here in the city right now. The reason I talk about the frost is when I was running up the hill at the beginning of my run, there's a field to the left that I've taken pictures of and shared here before. And this morning when I looked to the left, it was so beautiful. It was just this long expanse of white frost meeting green trees, meeting blue sky. It was just so pretty. So I stopped and I took a picture of it. I'm like, yay, I've got this great image for today's podcast. I love it. And I do my run. I'm listening to amazing music, as I always do. And I'm coming around this one curve, and the sun had gotten a little higher, and so some of the frost had started melting on the grass. And there was this moment as I'm coming around the bend that there was a big patch of grass, someone's yard, where they have a whole extra house space almost where no one's built, and it was all grass. And so it was frosted, but the part closest to me had sort of melted, and so it was like a dew, but it was sparkling. And there was just all this shimmer. I guess that's the best word for it, shimmering. It was light and water changing form from frozen solid to melting water, liquid, and everything was sparkling and shining. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And it was just this flash of a moment out of the corner of my eyes. I came around the bend and I just sort of took it in as I was running, and I was thinking about how the sun, especially the way that the sun plays with me that early in the morning, the sun is always dancing and moving through the trees as I move through this formation of roads. And I'm running into the sun sometimes. I'm running with the sun at my back sometimes. It's on my left, it's on my right. It's coming through the trees, it's up in the sky, it's reflecting on the grass. It's like this beautiful play that happens in my run. Probably one of the reasons that I most want to be outside that early in the morning, even if it's cold. It's like the sun greets me, and we dance and we play for a half an hour while I'm listening to music and taking in through my eyes the beauty of this planet, this world, this neighborhood that I am so close to. It's just magical, and I felt the fullness of it as I saw that shift in the water and the frost and the light just all playing right there. So as I was ending my run, I came back to the entrance of the neighborhood where I started, and the field was across from me. This time, it had been about a half an hour. Some of that initial front part of the frost had melted also. And so I went back across the road to take another picture, and I was just wanting to see, is the light different? Is there anything different through my camera as I take the picture through my phone? And so I was standing there, and there was this moment where the sun came through the trees. It was hitting the grass. It was reflecting. It was so cool. It was so cool, and I captured it in a picture. I was so excited. You can just see all of the magic in this beautiful image, and you can hear it, right? I was just like, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. And as I was walking down the road for the last part to come towards home, I was just reflecting on how I thought at the beginning of the run that the image was beautiful and it was so perfect, and everything I needed for my podcast I had, even though I didn't have the title. And then when I got to the end of my run and I'd been dancing with the sunlight and watching the sparkle of the dew, and then coming to the end, the picture was even better. It was even more amazing. And it was just... it was so peaceful to feel the validation yet again that we think things are so good. We feel like things are like, yeah, great, really good. And then there's always more. There's always this extra up level of magic and light and play and joy and like, it can be even bigger than that. And I think sometimes we forget. We get into the routine or the vibration or the current of what feels familiar and good right now. And so we're in that zone and we're like, yeah. Well, maybe we're down in this zone for a long time and it feels like this is all it's ever going to be and it's just going to be hard and blah, blah, blah. Right? You know that vibration, the one that many of us, including myself, have sat in many, many times, down in the dumps, like Eeyore. We're just down, feeling kind of blah, and everything's just going along. And then something kind of pops us out of that rut or that channel of energy. We kind of pop out of it. And then things are a little better, and we're like, yes, and it's great, and we're hanging in this vibration, it feels good, and we're like, this is it. This is what life was supposed to be. Like, I've made it. I'm where I wanted to be. We're, in this field of energy that's so good. And then, boop, we pop out again. And there's like this, it may sound so funny as you're listening to this, but I can feel the levels of elevation as I tune into it. I can feel how we get into one groove and we stay there, and we get accustomed to that groove, and we believe that is the only groove there is, until we dance with the sunlight and we dance with Source, and we allow ourselves to connect to the planet, and then poof, we like pop out into that higher groove, and then it's sustainable. It truly is sustainable. We can keep elevating from groove to groove to groove and expanding, and it just gets richer and more beautiful and more abundant. It's just such a fun journey. I was listening to an Esther recording yesterday, and this beautiful man was on. He was talking about how he had this experience. He'd read this book, The Power of Now, 4 or 5 times. He never got it. He said, and then there was just this day where something shifted inside of me, and I don't know, I felt like I was in a different place, and I read the book, and like everything opened, and he said the colors were brighter, and the flowers were prettier, and the music was different, and the food tasted better. And he's like, everything just got better. And he was saying that it lasted for about a week, which is a really long amount of time to sustain a new vibration, in my opinion. I think often we kind of dip back down and pop back up, and dip back down, pop back up, and then pretty soon we're able to maintain that higher elevated feeling for longer stretches. But he's like, I did it for a week. And then he had a conversation with a friend, and in the telling of the story to Esther, he says, the friend reminded me there are evil forces in the world and that they are controlling us, and so I need to be careful. And so then I decided I need to, think about it and protect myself. And you could just hear him go boom, 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 boom. Like he landed right back in the older vibration. He'd still expanded, but the fear brought him back down. And Esther just did this beautiful, beautiful job of saying to him, what you choose to focus on is what's going to expand in your life. And what do you choose to focus on? You had a really good time in that field of awesome color and vibration. Like, you want to keep hanging out there? Or do you want to go to the other end of the stick, which is also available for you, and hang out down there? Like, which one do you prefer? It was so fun to listen to him kind of move through his resistance and move through his awareness, and then come to this place of such joy that he could tap into that kind of feeling and believe it, and that it's totally maintainable. It's always available. Yeah, it was really beautiful. So here we are on a Wednesday. My Wednesday, here's what it looks like. I took Star to daycare. He was bouncing off the walls, excited to play with his friends. I took my son to school. He was not so excited. But it's just part of the ritual of being a human. You go through high school. He's almost done. And then I took my run and like totally just danced with Source and played in the sunlight and looked at the sparkling light on the grass and marveled at this incredible journey that I'm living. And then I took my daughter to work, and now I get to record this vibration and share it with you in this podcast and celebrate that I've been able to do this 300 times. Whoa, how lucky am I? And then I'm going to do it another 300 maybe, unless I decide and Source agrees there's some other form that works better. I don't know, I'm not attached, but in this moment it sure feels fun. And then I'm going to go to lunch, and then I'm going to come home and create an intention grid about the next 2 months of this year, how I intend to energetically move through the rest of November and all of December and wrap up this incredible year of 2019 and this decade of 2010 to 2019. Like, what? So I can create space for 2020. Yeah, this is my life. And then my family is together. My son and my husband will be here. We're going to have dinner together, and I'll get up tomorrow and start another incredible day and tap right back into this vibration that is always available for me, and then translate it and share it so that it's always available for you, and then you can find your expression of it, and you can tap into your version of the vibration and expand that. This is the reality that I live, and all of us can live in our own form of it, our own expression of it. The ways I love to create, I have figured out and continue to figure out and will continue to figure out even more. And so I just follow that flow of creation and energy and love that's always moving through me. And these magical days, they just keep happening. They just don't end. Did I tell you? My husband bought a cake that says, happy 300th episode with a little Gaia picture on it. What? How fun is that? Right? Without me asking or mentioning or even bringing it up. Like, he just tapped into my joy and found a way to express it and play with me. It's so good. Life is so good. And when we just focus on that and allow it to expand, it just gets better. It just gets better. Like the picture this morning. It was beautiful, and then it was sparkly and shimmery and so much better. That is what's available right now, and it's a vibration you tune into. It's a groove, a channel that you stretch yourself constantly into a more expanded version of it, a better feeling version of it all the time. Yeah, so I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job translating. I feel like I'm doing a good job translating, and Source keeps validating, so all of my recordings are not being deleted. Just that one on Monday. Which really elevated my enjoyment of the next podcast recording. So, and I still keep feeling the joy of that deletion. Oh, goodness. All right. I am going to go have some lunch and then come back and make an intention grid. So I wish you a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday and just fun, happy celebrations today. So much love. Thank you for listening. Let me add that too. Thank you for tuning into this vibration with me and the ways that you share your reflections of how it matches what's happening in your life and the fun you have listening to me laugh. I love knowing that my joy is bringing you joy also. So have a beautiful Wednesday, friends. Thank you for tuning in to this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me on Sunday mornings for an hour of meditation, visualization, and energy healing, where we realign our mind, body, spirit with Gaia and Source. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.